Councilman
Any changes?
Marcano, any changes? All right, none from me, so meeting are approved. And we'll move on to any announcements.
I have one announcement. This is
Okay.
Ruben. On Monday, October 30th, we have the Veterans Salute event at the Hyatt Regency at 14th Place. And that's my announcement.
All right.
Anyone else? If not, we'll move down to the agenda items. 4A is Golf Course Advisory Committee Annual Report.
And Dan, would you introduce that, please?
Good morning, everybody. Dan Wickman, manager of golf. Today, our vice chair, Dorothy Shadrick, is going to be giving our golf review. Dorothy is in her third year on the committee, and she plays at two different clubs. She plays at Murphy Creek Ladies Club and Meadow Hills. Dorothy, it's all yours.
Thank you. Do I have to switch the slide? I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to meet with each of you. It has been a joy being on the committee these first 3 years. I'm not going to go through all the slides because I'm sure you've all read them, and I know that we are short of time. And so at this point, I would like to just talk a little bit about our committee. We have 11 members on the committee, and of my 3 years being on the committee, this is the first time we've had such an active and diverse group of people on the committee. And I really appreciate all their help. And Jesse is our chair. He's in New York on business and sends his best and regrets that he couldn't be here. So, Laura, can you go to the next slide, please? Okay, and then I wanted to highlight the fact that we've been able to go to the golf courses this year. We not normally get to go to the golf courses because of COVID, and it was really exciting for me being on the committee all these years and now being able to go listen to the staff. When we meet with the staff at the golf course committees, it's very informative. And we're also able to give them direct feedback from our members that play on the courses, because every one of us on the committee play on the course and hear things. And so it's been a valuable feedback for us. The next slide, please, Laura. So, the golf course all the golf courses had some great things going on. I'm not going to read these things, but what I want to stress to you is the feedback that we've got. Like I said, I play a lot of golf on Aurora, and we've gotten a tremendous amount of positive feedback this year. This is the first year I've heard all these positive feedbacks. The courses were in amazing condition this year. The staff were all so helpful, and I really enjoyed hearing all the very, very positive comments this year. And that's the first year I've been playing these leagues for 6-7 years, and I've heard more positive golf comments than I ever have. The next slide, Laura, please. So I'm not going to go into the financials. That's Dan's job, but we do review the financials with Dan and the staff every month when we meet. We get a lot of updates. As in any business, we just kind of guess what's going to happen next year. And you don't know if people are going back to work next year and not being able to play golf as much. But I can tell you that a lot of people we know, golf has become a priority, and some of them are even taking the day off from work to play golf. So it'll be interesting to see next year, but we are healthy and we have a good group of staff that really watches that for us and doesn't want to just spend. It's very good to hear the explanations of why they're looking at things. Next slide, please. This is a personal one with me. The first tee, when I became a member of the committee, one of my goals was to make sure that all people of all levels got to play golf. And this first tee partnership is really great, getting to see the people. I've seen these kids on the courses. I've seen them, the joy and the fun that they've had when I'm out there, and it's really fun to see. I have a story of my grandson. He hadn't played much, a little bit with grandma, but he knew grandma played golf. But his friend got him into junior golf at Meadow Hills, and he took a lesson under Jeff at Meadow Hills Golf Course, and he is now an avid golfer. He's a sophomore at TJ High School and has lettered twice already in golf and has never really played before. And he's going number 2 seed next year. So it's a good thing that, you know, gets these kids in, gets them excited about golf, and it's a great outdoor sport for them. Next slide, please. This one is an exciting one as well, because it's the same thing, getting people on the golf courses, charity golf tournaments. I've played them for years in my golf career, and being able to give back to the community and get people on the golf course who would not normally come out and play is really exciting to see. And the Paul McMullen Golf Scholarship, this year the committee was able to bring the scholarship winner into one of our committee meetings, present him with a trophy, a certificate, met his family. He's just a great kid, and it is fun to be able to support these kids as they go on into their college careers. Next slide, please. Navigating the road ahead. This is Dan's job, but the biggest thing we can do to help them is to give them our feedback. I can tell you that I was really leery about this dynamic pricing going into effect to see if I would get some negative feedback from people. And surprisingly, I have had no negative feedback. Every once in a while, somebody will say something about how expensive golf is, but that's just golf. But I will tell you that I didn't get nearly the feedback that I thought I would. So that's a very positive thing. And it helps our revenues come in. Next slide. That's it. I do want to let you know, one of the things I was talking to Dan about this morning is really important. I belong to 2 leagues. The 2 leagues, we have a diverse membership in age groups from the 20-somethings, and we have people that are 90 years old playing golf. This is a sport where anybody can play at any age, and also the winning of it. So in our leagues, it's divided by your handicap. So people who don't play very well can win just as much as people who are scratch golfers. And there's very few sports out there like that. And I walk the golf course. I'm 73 years old, and I can walk the golf course because we've got such a diverse range of golf courses in Aurora. We've got ones you can walk. We've got ones that are not walkable. And it's just an amazing opportunity for people of all age to enjoy the outdoors. Seniors get the exercise they need. They get the social atmosphere that they need to communicate. And Aurora does a great job on that. And I'm biased because I've been in Aurora a long time, but I just want you all to share that with you. We have people come into our leagues from as far as Castle Rock, as far north as Thornton and Westminster, just to play golf on Aurora courses. So they're well known, people respect them, and it's just been a pleasure to play and be on the committee to help in any way we can to further our sport. That's all I have. Thank you all. Do you have any questions? All right.
Thank you for the presentation. And Councilmember Marcano, do you have any questions?
Thank you, Councilmember Medina, and I want to thank you both for the presentation, for your enthusiasm for our golf program. I guess I just want to ask about the expenses. I heard that y'all, mentioned that you're concerned about the expenses going up, but it seems like our revenues are keeping up. So could you unpack that a little more for me?
I can, yes, Councilmember Marcano. One of the focuses of our operation this year, we knew expenses were going up, fuel and a lot of our things are going up. So we focused on managing our revenue and looking for ways to maximize that. So our revenue is up. Our rounds are basically flat from last year to this year. It's something that I'll work with the golf management team on going forward. Being good revenue managers is a big part of what we do.
Yep. Yeah, and I guess to follow up, to make sure I'm understanding you correctly, so rounds are flat, meaning we don't have necessarily growing demand for rounds of golf being played. So the revenues being up, we just started charging more.
Well, we figured out how to get more people at different rates, and yes, and we have grown the fees slightly.
Okay.
And we're going to need to continue to do that to keep up with our expenses.
Understood. All right, thank you.
Chair Medina?
No questions for me. Thank you again for the presentation and,
To add a comment?
Excuse
This
me?
is Brooke Bell.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
also wanna add a comment about the rounds being flat. We had, Dan, you might speak to the spring. We had a very wet spring that impacted our rounds early on.
Well, yeah, that's true. We did have record rainfall in May into June, and it did impact our rounds a little bit. Obviously, when it's raining, we're not going to get many people to play. Two of our golf courses have waterways that go through, so that impacts us. So we were a little bit down. We might, if we had better weather, we might have been had a little growth in rounds this year. But at the same time, the rain's really good. Obviously, I never complain about rain. We need the water. And I think it contributed to the really good turf conditions we had this year. But there was a little bit of an impact there.
All right, any other comments, questions? If not, thank you again for the presentation and the great job you guys are doing. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And next up is 4B, which is Open Space Advisory Board 2023 Annual Report to the committee.
Yes, thank you, Councilmember Medina, Councilmember Marcano. Thank you for the opportunity for our board to present today. I have the pleasure, this is Open Space and Natural Resources Manager Brian Green. I have the opportunity to introduce our Open Space Board presenters today. So our chairman, Brad Stratton, and our vice chairman, Wayne Gallagher, are on the call today, and they'll be presenting on their activities throughout this year. And I have to say that this is an incredibly active and incredibly passionate group. So, and I think both council members on the call have been to a couple of our meetings at least, and so I appreciate that. And here's Brad and Wayne.
Thanks, Brian. Yeah, we'd like to thank you, committee, for allowing us to present. And we'd like to tell you a little bit about what's been going on with our Open Space and Natural Resources Division, and specifically the Open Space Advisory Board. Next slide there, Lauren, please. And as Brian said, I'm Brad Stratton, and then Wayne Gallagher is our vice chair. And are you there, Wayne?
Yes, sir. I am here.
Okay, very good. Next slide, please. So here's a list of our open space board members. And as you can see, that last one says vacant. I'm happy to report that we do have a candidate that we approved at our last meeting, and that name will be sent to council for approval. The board does advise the Osner Division. We meet the third Wednesday of every month at various locations. And our mission is to preserve, enhance, and expand the open spaces of Aurora, while also educating the citizens regarding the habitat, plants, and wildlife of open space and trails. Next slide, please.
Oh, sorry, Brad. Let's see. So, let's see. We do like to go to our sites when we have our meetings. We spend a lot of time on them. Other than that as well. So this year we did get to Dual Wetlands, Pronghorn. I think one of the ones that was most popular was our trip out to the Acres site, which is just outside of Watkins. That was a great trip. We got to spend a little bit more time out there than we probably would have. It's just, you don't get to that location very often. So we had a blast out there. And the Confluence Natural Area, we did get to get in there and take a look. We had a little bit of water damage from the rains that were talked about earlier. And we've been out to the Aurora Reservoir this year as well. So those are our locations that we've gotten to. I'd like to thank the council. We've had very good activity from the council members attending our meetings. And we appreciate that a lot. Next slide, please.
One of our jobs, or one of the jobs that we have taken on, is to monitor the conserved areas in our open spaces. We have 4 areas with conservation easements. And so we have divided up those 4 spaces. We have at least 2 board members who visit those areas. We visit them 4 times a year, once per quarter. While we're there, we take notes on our observations. We take photos at the photo post. That way we have a record of any changes that go on in those places. If we see a problem that needs to be taken care of that we can't take care of, we then report that via Access Aurora. And if we see any interesting plants or animals, we then record those in iNaturalist. So we do have a record of the plants and animals that we have in these areas. And that way we are keeping track of those conservation easements and make sure things are going on. And while we're there, we do a little trash collection, as you can see there on the right. The one time out in the Buckley Buffer, we collected about 6 big bags of trash, and I just couldn't resist taking the picture next to the no dumping sign there. Next slide, please.
So we do get out quite a bit. One of the things that we decided to do recently with the steam building going in next to the Pronghorn natural area, we decided that we should just kind of monitor things a little bit closer out there, see what kind of changes we might see to the birds and the other animals that spend their time out at that location. That continues. The steam project, they have just started to move their people in out there. So we'll continue to monitor and see what else we come up with. I don't really have any statistics for that right now, but we'll be putting something together as soon as we kind of get to a further spot on this. Let's see, we also have some trail cameras out there that we've been watching, and we've been getting some eye-opening pictures of some of the beavers and other activities out there, and how active the deer and beaver are in that location. It's pretty cool. Next slide, please.
Another great activity is what's going on at Plains Conservation Center. We have been working on a little restoration, trying to restore the prairie back to its natural state. And so we have a 20-acre site that we have been working on. We go out, we do weed mitigation, we have planted some native plants out there, and we have seen a difference. But the thing is, we see a difference. We don't document a difference. So we have decided this year that we are actually going to perform a controlled experiment. And so we picked another plot. We have set up some areas, 2 meter by 2 meter plots. We went through, we cleared them out. We planted native plants in those. We are now monitoring those. We have 6 plots, which we call our experimental plots. We have 2 plots, which are control plots, which we don't do anything to. And we are keeping track of what grows in the plot. And more importantly, we're going to be looking at what spreads from those plots, with the hope that some of these native plants can outcompete some of the invasive plants, and we can help restore the prairie much more quickly. And as you can see there, 5280 magazine has gotten interested in our project. And this past summer, they did have a article, a very interesting article about our project, about our experiment. And they say that they're going to keep track, and they're going to check back with us year after year as we collect our data. Next slide, please.
So some of the other projects that we do keep track of the birds in the area. We do multiple bird counts every month at different locations. We've been doing butterfly counts for the past several years as well. We do monarch butterfly taggings so that we can see which ones we have seen, and if they show back up again. We have bird boxes up in various locations. We've taken responsibility for getting those up, as well as maintaining them after they're in. We added some to the Ponderosa area this last year, and we've had some very good success up there with most of the boxes being used in the last nesting period. Weed warriors, we're out there battling those weeds. You can see in the lower left corner of the slide there that some of those are pretty nasty, pretty large, and a little bit hard to get out of there, but we are managing it. We do a eagle nest watch every year. We've been doing that for, I guess the last 5 or 6 years now at least. And we do keep an eye on all the eagles nests that we have in the city. We have 4 nests. They're not all active right now, but 3 of the 4 are active, and it looks like the eagles are returning this year. We're just starting to see them come back. Let's see. So the other thing right now that's upcoming is the new nature play area at the Morrison Nature Center that's got the go ahead, and we're looking forward to that getting started. Next slide, please.
As noted in our mission, educating the public, having the public learn about our open spaces is a priority for us, and it was a real priority for us this year. We created an outreach program, which we call Open Spaces of Aurora, our best kept secret. And thank you, council members. We were able to present to wards 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 this year. And I think it went over very, very well. We're also thinking about maybe creating some other programs which we can then take out. And for example, one of our board members, Vicki Samuel, did a wonderful presentation on owls, which she gave out at the Morrison Nature Center. We also have set up some booths. We had a booth out at the 720 Reflections on Tap. We had a booth out at the Fall into Fun where we can give out information, tell the public about our open spaces and promote volunteerism. Also, I just want to put a shout out to the Great Outdoors of Aurora exhibit at the Aurora History Museum. It's a great exhibit if you haven't seen it. It does highlight all of these areas, the golf, the parks, and the open space. And 2 of our board members, Wayne Gallagher and Vicki Samuels, are part of the video giving out information. And I do want to plug that Wayne has a photo exhibit that has recently been put up in the East Hallway and has some wonderful nature photos that he is displaying at this time. It'd be great for you to go out and see that. Also, if we're going to educate the public, we need to educate ourselves. And so at our meetings, we will be having guest presentations to teach us a little bit about some of the things going on in the open spaces. And our volunteer staff is provided with educational programs that many of us on the board take advantage of. Next slide, please. We lost you there, Wayne.
Oh, you're muted, Wayne.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Let's see. So as Brad had said, this is some of the things that we have gotten out to participate in, and you can see Brad actually down in the lower left there. He is a really talented chalk artist, and he does a lot of work on that. It's fun to see those, and it's really fun if you go in and see him as he does it, because it's amazing to see it just appear before your eyes. But we do support a lot of these things, the trick or treats, the fall and into fun, and all of that has been something that the board has been participating with. Let's see, we talked about, we do have board members that are very active on supplying and giving the city some of their artwork and photographs to show on around the city. We've been doing that for quite some time. Quite a number of us are, I'd say, pretty good photographers. Next slide, please.
So why is it that we love Aurora open space? Well, here are 9 reasons that you can see, but there are millions of reasons. And I think one of the things we need to say is that, you know, we're more than just grass and weeds. There's some wonderful, wonderful plant life, animal life that we have in our open spaces. And we really really support getting people out there and enjoying our open spaces. And I'd also like to just take a minute and thank our terrific Osner staff, Brian, Brooke, all our naturalists. They're wonderful, knowledgeable, dedicated people, and the work they do is incredible. Plus, I also want to put out a shout out to all our wonderful volunteers. All these things that we talk about, the prairie restoration, what's going on at Pronghorn, what's going on in our nature centers, we couldn't do it without our volunteers. And I'm very proud that I am an Aurora Open Space volunteer. Next slide, please. So thank you. Thank you very much for giving us some of your valuable time. And we really want to thank you for your support of open space.
Thank you, gentlemen. Any questions, Councilmember Marcano?
Thank you, Councilmember Medina. So first, Brad and Wayne, thank y'all for that presentation. But I gotta say, on that previous slide, I'm gonna need you guys to step it up. I need to see an owlet or a prairie dog or something on there too. You know, like.
Well, that's why I have that one over my shoulder.
Okay. Oh, I didn't see that. Okay, sorry. You're like half an inch tall on my screen right now. That is awesome. Okay.
I'm actually a little bit taller than that.
Just a little bit. I have seen you a couple of times. But I just want to say I really appreciate how active y'all are as a board, and you are incredible ambassadors to our open spaces. So just thank you for your dedication, for your love for the wilds in our city, but also just, you know, to educating our residents. Really, really appreciate it.
And just for the record, that photo was taken at the Ponderosa Preserve. One night when we actually held a meeting up there, he showed up and just sat there and watched us. It was
That's cool. Oh, wow.
All right. Yeah, again, gentlemen, thank you for the presentation, Brad, Brian, and Wayne. Yeah, thank you for all you do with the outdoor spaces. I know, you know, I've tried to get as many events as possible, and I think I'm planning to come out next month to one of your committee meetings as well. And yeah, trying to do that. Yeah, I brought my wife out last weekend to your event there at Morrison, and brought my grandchildren back out, and you know, this is the first time I think my wife has ever been there, which is I was kind of surprised. But yeah, she found a new place I think to go, and we actually came back on Sunday and got to see that eagle out there, and you know, we did a good walk around, and so I think she found a new place to walk. So that was a good opportunity for her to get out and see some of the stuff because she had never realized it was, you know, hidden in there. So yeah, so again, I'm going to try to promote as much as I can on my end, and yeah, again, you're welcome at any of my council meetings at any time you want to do a presentation. Just let me know, and we'll get you set up and going. So again, appreciate all your dedication and all your support.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Three annual report. Joe.
Good morning. I'm Joe Sack, Recreation Services Manager. It's my pleasure to introduce Sydney Futrell. She's the chair of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. Sydney?
Hi, thanks for having us on the call this morning. I'm proud to walk everybody through the annual report for the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. Next slide, please. The purpose of the board is to serve in an advisory capacity to City Council and the Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Department on all matters pertaining to planning and regulation of city-owned and controlled parks and recreation areas and facilities, as well as programs and leagues within the city, both within and without the corporate bounds of the city. Next slide, please. Our goals are to actively advocate for the city's recreation and open space and golf areas, to make recommendations and advise and then approve master plans and so approve neighborhood park and master plans. And so, for instance, there is a large open lot on the corner of Lansing and Alameda, right on Expo Park, that used to be a church, and it is for sale. So I have made that recommendation. So things like that are always coming up in our meetings where the board is advocating for efficient use of space within the city, and that fits within the new master plan that we have all been a very integral part of in the planning and advisement along the way. So next slide, please. Our impact, as I mentioned, is to provide input on master plans, advocate for all parks, recreation, open space, and golf facilities, and serve as a resource for staff and council. Next slide. We have 9 board members. And as I have said, we're advocates and advisors, and we have a good representation across most wards in Aurora. So most of us on the board have, or all of us on the board have, a very deep connection to our parks and open spaces, and live close to parks and open spaces that we access frequently, and have a really good diverse representation of the different parks and communities across Aurora, and advocate for those spaces as they mean something to us. Next slide, please. Our accomplishments over the last year include approval of the Aurora 1 Neighborhood Master Park Plan in a public hearing, doing thorough master plan reviews of this master planning process that we've been in the midst of for quite some time, where all of us have gotten a great education in what this entails, and have been informed and advising along the way. And then we also took a tour of the Southeast Rec Center right before it opened to the public, which was really exciting to see our kind of how our work comes to life, our participation comes to life over time. Even we're a small part of this wonderful system and city, and that was excellent to see. Next slide, please. Our accomplishments also include our recommendations that we've made over the last year, that include just various approvals and advisements across different initiatives that have come across our agendas over the last year, like the budget outlook, and park renamings, and new park just groundbreakings, and many things like that that you can read here. Next slide, please. We meet the first Wednesdays of every month at 5 p.m. And yeah, I mean, it's a short presentation, but we love what we do. We love being a part of this great work, and getting to weigh in and advocate for our neighborhoods with all of you and with council. So thank you so much for having us today, and letting us walk through this presentation. And I will do my best, along with Joe, to field any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Sydney. Any questions, Councilmember Marcano?
None from me, but thank you for the work, Sydney.
Yep, none from me as well. I certainly appreciate, again, Sydney, the presentation, and Joe, and I'll continue to support you guys, having worked with you guys in the past. And so any way I can help on my end, please feel free to let me know, and I'll see if I can attend one of those meetings as well. So thank you.
That'd be great. Thank you so much.
Resolution supporting Geo GoGo Centennial Grant application for the Highline Canal Conservancy.
Good morning. My name is Nicole Ankeny, and I am the Manager of Planning, Design, and Construction for PROS. As stated, we are seeking support for a resolution for Great Outdoors Colorado Centennial Grant application, and that grant application would be by the Highline Canal Conservancy. I will give a brief overview of that grant application and the implications for the city of Aurora. Also on the meeting today is Tracy Young with the Conservancy, in case there are any questions that you may have of her. So the Highline Canal Conservancy is requesting our support for this upcoming grant application. The application is due December 1st. If successful, the Conservancy's grant award will have a direct benefit to the Highline Canal and the neighboring communities along the canal, including our citizens in Aurora. They're applying for this centennial grant as part of the Great Outdoor Colorado Grant Program. It was created to invest in high-value, once-in-a-generation visions and projects to create lasting impacts on the Centennial State and future generations. So this is a really big deal. These aren't grants that are offered every year that come up routinely. They have a set time frame. I know that GOCO is hopeful they will be able to continue this program, but when GOCO set out with this program, they were really looking at super spectacular, visionary programs to instill throughout the state. So currently the Conservancy is requesting approximately $9 million from Great Outdoors Colorado in funding and prioritizing improvements along the canal's northern 28 miles. So that does include a stretch from Bible Park in Denver through to the Gaylord Convention Center in Aurora, of course. So since 2016, the Conservancy has been doing a tremendous amount of outreach and planning. Through this extensive outreach, they identified 3 key areas upon which to focus. So first, looking at access, connectivity, and safety projects to ensure equitable access for people of all abilities and from communities to access the trail and to connect throughout the region safely and comfortably. So that has 2 impacts to the city of Aurora. First, we're looking at constructing a trailhead at 38th Avenue. Secondly, when it comes to accessible access points, there are 2 planned pedestrian bridges to more formalize the access and provide for locations of local communities such as Laredo Elementary and Highline Villages. The second area of focus is activation projects and amenities to enhance the trail user experience. So the first area for Aurora is in the gateway to the northeast. So that would be building upon trail completion from Colfax to Green Valley Ranch and the I-70 overpass. Improvements here would include connectivity, some gathering areas, maybe a fitness zone, seating, and signage. There is also some plans for what they call CIZs, or Canal Improvement Zones. We have a couple of those within the city of Aurora. One is the Linear Park Loop, and this would enhance the 3-mile section that ties together the canal, the Sand Creek Greenway, Triple Creek Trailhead, and Starkey Ranch. And this is coming from direct input from the community to provide better access, a little bit of shade, seating, play areas, and some additional amenities. We also have another canal improvement zone along the Laredo Highline. And hundreds of community members have informed us that their priorities are gathering spaces with some shade structures, multiple places, we call them pause places, where you might sit for a minute, enjoy wildlife, enjoy the view, improved access points, some nature play elements, seating, potentially some options for public art, and also things such as litter receptacles. Some of those seem basic, but can really be a true amenity along our canal and trail system. An emphasis is also on signage and furnishings. So these will be throughout the entire corridor, but also including Aurora. And we've had requests for things such as benches, picnic tables, natural seating such as logs, as well as educational and wayfinding signage. Again, litter receptacles, dog way stations, as you can imagine. And there are some additional planned canal improvement zones. The third area of focus for the Conservancy is ecological health and natural resource management. And I would like to mention, this ties in nicely with the Open Space Advisory Board's presentation. Brian Green and I have been meeting regularly with the Conservancy. And this third area of focus is has two portions to it. One is natural resource restoration. Year one restoration would include high hazard tree removals and pruning, care for existing vegetation, removal of invasive species, some fire risk reduction, adaptive management of ash trees, and restoration, including xeric and/or native plantings. And then secondarily, there is plans for some tree planting. So this does include a tree planting pilot project within a stormwater reach with 50 xeric trees that would expand upon a pilot project that the Conservancy has completed with the City and County of Denver. So just to give you a sense of context, with the Great Outdoors Colorado Centennial Program grant, jurisdictional matches, private donations that the Conservancy has received and is continuing to seek funding, as well as leverage projects for projects that are underway, such as the pedestrian overpass over I-70. Those projects combine for an investment of more than $44 million in the highest need reaches of the canal over the next 5 years. The impact to the City of Aurora through this partnership is that we would receive approximately $3.8 million in GOCO funds, approximately $1.7 million in funds from Arapahoe County Open Spaces, about $150,000 in Adams County Open Space funds, and $600,000 in Conservancy funds. To give you a sense of the timeline, the Conservancy submitted a draft concept proposal in May and finalized their proposal in August. And in September, they received the exciting news that they were being recommended to move on to the formal application due December 1st. As far as the City of Aurora match, we will be matching approximately $125,000, and that's anticipated to utilize a combination of funds from the Conservation Trust Fund and our Open Space Fund, and that is captured in the 5-year capital improvement plan through the 2024 budget, and you'll see those funds show up in 2025. So at this point, I would like to ask if anyone has any questions for me or for Tracy Young of the Conservancy.
Thank you, Nicole, for the presentation. Councilmember Marcano.
No questions from me, but this is a great effort and I'm supportive of it.
Yeah, again, you know, I'm a proponent, and Tracy, it's good to see you as well. But
Good to
yeah,
see you
I'm
too.
certainly supportive of everything you guys do. And like I say, I'm a little more biased on this end, having worked there. So, you know, push forward as much as I can, all these positive things that bring, you know, a lot of peace and prosperity to our community, and also just some places to walk and enjoy the outdoors. So anything is appreciated. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
2 questions before council is, you would of course move on to study session. Does the City Council wish to approve a resolution supporting an application for a grant by the Highline Canal Conservancy to the State Board of the Great Outdoors Colorado Trust Fund for several projects? And then part B is, does the City Council support a waiver of reconsideration enabling the Highline Canal Conservancy to meet the grant deadline with this resolution included in it of December 1st?
Councilmember Marcano.
Absolutely.
All right, same here. It's all good for me. So well, good to push it forward.
Thank you. We appreciate your support, and it's good to see so many familiar faces.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Marcano, got anything?
Nothing miscellaneous from me, sir.
Staff?
None from us.
I've got just one thing, and I'll connect with you, Ms. Bell, as well. Who owns the park at 6th and Dayton? I've always been curious about that because I see some signs that say city, but is that city owned or is that Denver owned?
I will ask my staff. I'm not placing that park. Dayton. There is
There's a park there, like I think I want to say it's like further down, like maybe 8th. I mean, yeah, let's see, 6th, 7th, 8th. Yeah, somewhere around 8th, I think, in a corner. but there's also a vacant tennis court. Doesn't have any, nets or anything like that. The reason that I'm asking is I got a couple questions about, and I'll connect with you. Is I got a gentleman who wants to look at a possibility that I'd like to pilot um, about covering a tennis court during the wintertime to repurpose it and see if we can. He wants to put some AstroTurf, which he'll do all the stuff. My indication he'll do it all for free just for us to see. And he put down turf on the floor there, and then he dome it with the plastic, kind of that they do at the the big domes that they do, and just use it as indoor space during those winter times. And I would like to see if we could pilot that just to see the usage of that to create more opportunities, maybe in those colder months where those activities aren't generally utilized. And could those be utilized, year round as opposed to just certain times? And then what opportunities might you guys have to be able to, rent those or things of that nature? So that's something that came up to me from a gentleman that I know does that, and he's willing to help, to look at that himself. He's interested himself in seeing what he could do because he knows indoor space is pretty, limited in Aurora, and so he would like to try to see if there's a way we can get that. So yeah, that's kind of a thought that I had.
Councilor Medina,
Yes.
were those cross streets again?
It's Dayton and 6th. So right as you're coming straight, going west on 6th, and right at the corner you get in on Dayton, and on the west side there's a tennis court there that's abandoned. It doesn't have any nets. And then as you keep going to the light there's a park there, and I think it has a city logo on it.
So that's not, it looks like that whole area. Yeah, it's Lowry Park.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's on the old Lowry campus, basically.
Yeah, correct.
Yep. So it is.
Yeah, 'cause that's where we had we still have the childcare, and that's where we had the Morning Star.
Yeah.
That's correct, yes. And Lowry Park, we do have an ARPA project planned for Lowry Park where we would put in a synthetic field, soccer field. And so that, Nicole, if I understand, is currently under design, or it's contracted for design. And it will be, it's part of it will be finished prior to the deadline to spend all the money for ARPA projects, so.
And have you already looked at who you're contracting for the synthetic field?
Well, right now it's designed. Nicole, do you want to provide a quick update?
Yeah, absolutely. Currently, it's under contract for design, and so we have had a number of vendors who specialize in artificial turf reach out to us. So we have met with some of them to get their feedback, but that will be part of the bid package. So it will have to go through a public bid process and, of course, meet all of the federal requirements. But we're, happy to have information from any vendors that do specialize in those type of products.
Yeah, because I have a gentleman that he actually does it. He's one of the few that actually does it, basically professionally. So he puts the stuff on most of the professional types of, and his thing is soccer. He actually owns an indoor soccer facility as well, but he's a contractor, so he also does that. But he likes to do a lot of these projects for the community, and he's one of the people that I told you wants to look at what's the potential of covering up, a tennis court and seeing if it could be utilized as a turf, and he would provide all the stuff for free, just to kind of see. And you could also look at, how he does that and what synthetic turf he uses and stuff like that. So yeah, I'll connect and we'll see. We'll go from there.
If you would, yes, Councilor Medina, if you would send his contact information to
Yeah,
Nicole.
I'll set up a meeting with us because I'd like to be there too and see what we can do.
We can do that. We can arrange a time. I'll contact you. I'll send an email, and you can let us know what some times are that you have, and we can schedule that meeting.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Topics for next month's meeting.
Yes, thank you. So for next month, we will bring in a revised memorial park bench and memorial tree policy for your consideration. That will go to the Parks Recreation Advisory Board early next week. And so we'll get their feedback on it, and then you'll all see it on November 30th. And then also we'll do a summary of items that we've reviewed for the entire year. And that's typically something we do at the end of each year for this policy committee. And then we'll bring an update on the Colorado Freedom Memorial effort.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Any other questions, comments? Councilmember Marcano?
None from me.
All right. Anything from staff? Well, if not, then we will adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everyone, for coming out, and enjoy the rest of your week. It's gonna be a little cold.
Enjoy the frosty weather.
Winter's coming.
Yes, it is.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
We can use the moisture. Thank you.
Yes. Bye.